Starting this off, we practically started off with a call from Fish and Game asking some questions about the test and how it's frustrating. Which
It
actually,
was refreshing. I'm not
yeah, it
gonna
was
lie.
it was
That
nice that we
conversation
had
was
a good
refreshing.
yeah, it was nice that we had a good talk with him about just kind of what's on the test, some of the things that are on the falconry exam, and kind of how difficult it can be. And then the conversation led into we should try to figure out a way to make this a little better. So I thought it was a really productive
It was a
conversation
very
with him.
productive
Yeah,
conversation,
so
which
that
I'm
was
glad
kind
to
of
see that's
cool.
turning around.
Which kind of segues into a little bit of what we want to talk about today, which is kind of like our firsts. First birds, the first time our birds taking kills, maybe even the first time we took the falconry exam, what that was like. So we're just here to share our own experiences today, just shoot the breeze and just have a fun conversation.
Like you said, we're popping that falconry cherry.
Yeah, popping the falconry cherry.
The first cherries for anything, right?
Yeah, well, we say like this last season, I popped the goshawk cherry.
Oh yeah.
It sounds awful.
It sounds awful.
It sounds terrible.
It's great though at the same time.
Anyway, my name's Jason. I have with me Bladen. He's the CEO of Desert Kings Falconry, and we both work in the company, of course. So we do abatement. We like to use birds of prey and air guns to take out pigeons, and we will also haze grackle with our birds as well. So if you guys want to check out our other videos, I'll go ahead. If you want to check out any of our other videos, please check out our channel. There are lots and lots and lots and lots of videos that you guys can look at with night hawking or catching invasive species out of a vehicle, things like that we do on all of our properties. So please check those out. To go back to kind of firsts, what was your first experience, first few experiences taking the falconry exam itself? What was that like for you here in Arizona?
It was fun. Like, I was never nervous to take the test. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like, because we found an injured kestrel on the ground, and we have an episode about my whole start in it. And so from like that moment on, I was just so excited to get into falconry, and I knew I wasn't old enough at the time. So the current falconry coordinator at that time, Bill Berger, he just let me take it. Like, it didn't mean anything. And he did count the score though, which was I was really curious about. So I took the test 3 times.
Did you pass it your first?
Pass? No, hell no. Hell no. First test I got like 75 or 76. The second time was a 78. Third time was a 79, which really got me
to
mad.
Those listening, that is not passing. You might think passing. That's a C and it's passing for school. For the falconry exam, you got to get 80% or more.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then the fourth try, which was a legal try for me, I got like an 80, 81. So I was like on the cusp.
Do they let you take the exam as many times as you want?
They
do. They do in Arizona?
They do in Arizona. Okay. I know you were saying
in Utah I was limited to doing, I think it might be 3 or 4 times in a calendar year you can take it, and you have to wait like 2 weeks between each time you take the test. So if you take the test, you fail it, you got to wait 2 weeks, and then you can take the test again. So they spread it out. So I was always telling falconers if they were getting into it before January 1st, I was like, dude, go take the test as many times as you can right now, because the amount of times you could take the test is just going to reset in January 1st. And so that way you can, it was kind of like my little tip to people getting into it.
It's the first barrier to entry, so it's always like nerve-wracking.
Even if you don't know anything yet, it's good to at least figure out like what kind of stuff is on the test, because there are some silly questions on there. I think one of the silly questions that we were chatting about was one where it asked what species of hawk is most likely to build its own nest.
Most likely not.
Not to build its. No, see, I thought it was to build a nest.
He said not to build a nest.
Not to build a nest,
which is even more confusing because you're like
confusing. See, now I don't even remember.
And here's you want to know the crazy thing, because the answer was kestrel.
Yeah.
So, I have seen in Arizona kestrels take sticks to the nest. I've seen it.
It's so it's so confusing. But then, how does that actually like relate to falconry?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Does that help you become a better falconer, knowing that kestrels are least likely to build a fresh new nest.
And
like,
to all,
it's
to all
strange.
the podcast listeners or just viewers of this video, it's the test does not make or break a falconer. I think you can fail that test 20 times, pass it on your 21st, and you could still be a better falconer than probably 80% of every falconer.
I think if most falconers took that test today, they would fail.
I could tell you right now I'd fail. Like, I have an apprentice right now, and I took the test with him, the study guide test. I got like most of the answers wrong. He was like, what the heck? And I'm like, I have real world falconry experience where my knowledge of it is just so much it's so much more advanced than when you read in books and stuff just to get ready for the test.
The exam definitely feels more like a barrier to entry, to be like, hey, this just proves you're willing to do the work to like become a falconer. And that's what it mostly feels like it is. Because when I first took it, I didn't pass the first time. The first time I got like a 78.
I thought you did.
No, I didn't pass my first time. I got a 78. And then what I did...
You said you did.
No, I didn't pass the first time. I don't think I've
ever
told that to you. You must be thinking of somebody else.
I do have a apprentice that did pass the first time.
Because I immediately went in my car. I wrote down everything I could remember immediately. Yeah. Wrote down everything that I could remember from that test that I didn't know. And then I went back in 2 weeks later and I passed with an 81. And so I didn't pass by much. But got through that.
Though, right? And you just got to get through it. And,
oh, man, the ball starts rolling right after that.
Side note, the game warden we were just talking to, I'm coming to realize, really good guy, a godly man. I've gotten to chat with him quite a bit, and it's been really joyful. But he was even like, he's like, dude, this test is harder than some police academy tests. And he's like, I go over him, and I'm like, I don't even know. Like, he's kind of like, I don't even know. And, to not his own fault, he doesn't make the test, so he just hands them out. They're not, it's a federal thing that they do. So I'm getting more and more sympathetic or empathetic with these individuals that work there. I get it.
The test is tough, but don't give up.
No,
take it as many times as you can and until you pass. Yeah. So you'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
But after you passed the test, your first bird was a red tail, right? Or did you start?
No, my first. I say legal. I wasn't doing anything illegally. My first bird ever in the realm of legal falconry was a Harris hawk.
Okay.
Yes.
You trapped two, one with your grandpa, right?
Yeah. So my first experience ever with a hawk was a red tail, male, Arizona red tail. Shaka was his name.
Okay.
Caught like 4 rabbits, maybe his first year. Like it was nothing. Like it wasn't.
What was that like first kill like though? Like the first time it caught a rabbit, what did it catch? Where? What was that experience like?
Pegasus Air Park in Queen Creek, Arizona. We used to live there. It was before everyone was building out there. So you go there now, there's just buildings everywhere.
Like all houses.
It's all developed. That was empty. I was out there with my grandpa. We were up on a light pole. Excuse me, the hawk was up on a light pole.
Like
I climbed it.
You climbed up a light pole?
I'm sitting there. It was actually near the end of the day. It was getting dark. I kick a bush. A baby rabbit runs out. Like I'm talking,
like cottontail or
I'm talking like 3-day-old cottontail.
Oh,
like, it just was like, hey, it runs. Hawk takes a dive straight into sagebrush, catches it, and we hear the dude. We went berserk. Like we were just like, we didn't believe it. We're like, that happened. Like this happened. And he caught 3 more rabbits after that, and then got bumblefoot. And then we ended up, we let him go. And funny enough, we came back a couple months later, threw a lure out to the same bird. He came down.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's neat.
I actually think we kept him over summer. I'm thinking about it now. He had a red tail, but my grandpa was like, we were getting way into it. He wanted a big female. So we ended up getting a big female right after we let him go.
That's sweet. What was it like leading up to that? Like, what had to happen between you getting the bird, basically? Well, from the time you started introducing the red-tailed hawk to Corey to the time he caught it, kind of like, what was that process like for you?
You know it now, right? Like, because this is your 6th season coming up. Most of falconry, yes, you get a bird, you train it. Okay, that's hard. Great. But once the bird's trained, the second hardest thing, I think, for falconers is giving your bird the best slips. Like, you want to know how some people are so successful. You want to know how Jason is so successful. at catching 100 rabbits the first season with a first year goshawk is setting the slip up. You start to learn, and that's how we got the first rabbit. Is we knew it was in there. He was up on a pole. Instead of pushing that little rabbit more in the bush, I came around the edge and pushed him out in the open.
There you go.
Like
were there a lot of rabbits you saw before that and tried to chase?
So that was the other thing is we were taken into fields where the rabbit population density was low. Like it was super low. So yeah, when you start getting to falconry, first year bird, first year apprentice, you got to find some good fields if you can. Like where hey, I can walk 20 more feet, there's a rabbit. I can walk 20 more feet, there's going to be another rabbit. It's just getting them in front of stuff. Like
how many chases did you do before he caught that first
one? 20 plus.
20 plus?
Oh, dude, yeah, he chased. He did not chase.
I do like that about red tails is like you could show them like 70 or 100 and they'll chase. Yeah. Like they won't give up. That's great.
Like you just got to show them.
Even if they never catch it.
Yeah, show them. Like we had a bird that he broke his legs, Mr. Glass, we call him.
Yeah. Man,
he broke both his legs. But before he did that, he was chasing rabbits like really well. Like he was like grabbing fur. Like he was on that cusp of just like holding on, like just holding on to the rabbit. And it was just simply putting the rabbits in front of him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, amazing time. What about yours? Like, you flew a red tail.
Yeah, right? I trapped a red tail. I trapped them near Spanish Fork, Utah. There's this canyon that you could go through and find a bunch of farmland, and it's just like right when late September hits, it's like there's a passage red tail on every other telephone pole. It's amazing.
Dude, and come November, it's like that here. It's like red tail, okay, red tail.
Yeah, passage red tail.
You're like, all right, there.
So it was such a great spot to get a red tail, and I got a male red tail named Marvid, and I tried to I kind of struggled through what you did was basically field craft, trying to figure out where the rabbits
That's a great word for it.
How I can scare them out in the proper way. My environment was a lot different than yours. I had giant sagebrush deserts that were completely flat. The sagebrush comes up to your knees, and that was pretty much how tall it was.
Boots
a little bit. I mean, if you wear good enough boots and pants, and it's fine. When it starts snowing, you have to wear snow pants, or else you're going to end up soaked.
Well, that's the other difference. It was colder here.
It was a little colder, but it feels so nice. Like actually, once you get moving, 20 degrees actually doesn't feel that bad. Like it feels pretty good once you start walking and moving, and especially if you're wearing the right gear. So I trapped this bird, I think October 1st, and I showed this bird at least 50 rabbits, and he would chase, but I would see these rabbits, and a lot of times he would be off position, and it wasn't going towards him or crossing in front of his path or in a clear way from his sea. So I was trying desperately, how can I figure out to get a rabbit right in front of my bird? And I was trying to fly off the fist, and I was willing to try anything at this point. Right before Thanksgiving Day, I built a T-perch, and it was a ridiculous looking T-perch. It looked like bicycle handles, because my idea was if I can get the hawk to sit on the ends, the bird won't poop on me.
Good luck with that. How'd that work?
It didn't work at all.
It's so funny.
Yeah, and so, but and it was clunky. It was awkward. I still have the video up on my YouTube if you guys want to check that out. But
you have the video of your first bird catching your first rabbit?
I do have a video of that.
That's badass. That's actually really cool.
So my first kill, with the hawk, including his first kill, it was Thanksgiving morning. I lived in Saratoga Springs at the time. It was a snowstorm that morning. It was just crazy snowy. Wind was like crazy. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go out to a spot and go out to a spot called Rush Valley, and we're gonna see what we can find. Like if it's really bad, we'll just turn around and go back home. So we're going, and literally half a mile before we hit the valley, it was just snowstorm like crazy, and then it just clears open. Just beautiful day. And my dad was visiting from California, so I had my dad with me.
That's cool.
And so, and this was my first time seeing my hawk. First time my dad got to see my hawk hunt too. And so we went out, got the bird on the T-perch, started walking, and that bird immediately started chasing rabbits that we would just start scaring. And the landscape was just beautiful, fresh snow. You could see all the rabbit prints all over the ground.
I can picture it in my head.
I have snow in It's like the most beautiful experience I could have ever had. I couldn't have asked for it to be.
You walk out, you see like all the rabbit poop everywhere. You're like,
yeah, it's like rabbit poop, rabbit pee.
It smells good. You smell the sagebrush, like wet sagebrush.
Exactly,
dude,
right.
Yeah.
And so we make one chase, he misses, and then he makes another chase, kind of makes a pass, and then comes back. And then the third time he makes this beautiful chase, and then kind of does just like a slight turn and then dives straight down. And then you hear the rabbit, screaming.
It's the best, dude. It's the best.
And I just run. It's this beautiful cottontail. He's stuck inside the bush, holding the rabbit with like branches between his legs and the rabbit.
They always barely have it. You're like, how did you? I've had birds where they literally, and if anyone doesn't know rabbits, their back hind leg of a rabbit has like this thin area of just skin. Mm-hmm. It's in between the tendon and
they
the
got
bone.
That Achilles tendon right there. Yeah,
I've had so many times where I've had one bird have one talon.
Yeah, me too.
And they're just like they're like help, and you're like, oh god. You know? Continue.
It's crazy. So I had that, and it was just all of it was snow, and the hawk caught something. I think what helped is the rabbits were definitely more visible against the white snow, and
you had the T-perch though too, right?
And I was using the T-perch, and so I immediately, no matter how ridiculous it looked, I became a believer of a T-perch in those sagebrush fields.
Dude, after our first red-tail, that's all we used.
The only reason I stopped using a T-perch with my second red-tailed hawk was because she started soaring and catching rabbits from the soar.
That's cool.
And so I'm like, I don't need the T-perch anymore. She's got the highest perch in the sky. Like,
here's the real question, and you got to answer this honestly. How many T-perches did you leave in the field?
One.
That's
I left
it?
one in the field.
I've probably left 15 plus T-perches. Like, you go home and you're like, damn it, you go back, and then like, dude, someone always takes the
I went
T-perch.
back the next. Well, what's funny is I've left my game bags. I've left game bags. I've left.
Oh yeah. I've left
lures,
transmitters.
out in the field, and I had to go back and get them. I found all of those, but the only thing that disappeared was my
T-perches are always. I don't know if it's other falconers, and I'm being serious. Like other falconers get there and they're like, "Ooh, T-perch." Yeah, you're like what are the odds of that? But I guess I don't know. I've never recovered a T-perch I've lost in the field.
Yeah, it's very strange.
No.
Well, and there was a time where I lost a lure, fell out of my bag, in my first year. And then my second year, I'm walking the field, and my second bird finds my lure and grabs it.
That's hilarious.
So I had a lure sit in the field for like all summer, and then
I've had that happen with hunting sticks.
Yeah,
like a brush stick.
Oh yeah,
like a good one, and like a whole year goes by, if not two, and I'm like, dude, there it is. Like it's like sticking up out of a bush somewhere. You're like, what?
That is insane.
Always the best feeling. Like I remember when I caught my first rabbit with my first bird. So like the red tails I flew with my grandpa, I always considered those his. Yes, I helped. I was there through the whole process, but that was grandpa's red tail. You know? And then I had a Harris hawk, male Harris hawk, great little guy. He was small. He flew at 540 grams. Like he was close to the Peruvian size. He was small. Caught him in Tucson, and I remember I tried, I went out, put rabbits in front of him, tried. 2 months go by. I'm at that same airport neighborhood, Pegasus Air Park here in Queen Creek, kick a bush alongside a block wall, and he nose dove off my glove, just probably 6 feet in front of me, and boom, right there. Just
smashes.
Yeah,
it.
just I was just
bam.
You know what's crazy, and you know this with your own goshawk. The moment they catch their first and their like real first cottontail or wild game, it's like a switch flip, and like from that day forward, they are constantly catching stuff continuously, and they exponentially get better. It's insane.
Yeah, it just gets even more better.
Yeah.
I might edit this little bit out, me saying this, but there is, we are over at Bladen's house. He's got 4 children. One of them's screaming a little bit. So if the microphone picks that up, That's why you can hear it. But hopefully these microphones don't. We'll see. Might edit this part out later.
Hey, don't worry. I texted the wife.
Yeah. I mean, she can only do so much. It's 1 versus 4.
It's 1 versus 4. She does pretty good with it. Shout out.
She's done great. Really, it's been really good the last hour already. But when was the first time one of your birds caught a jackrabbit?
Same Harris hawk, male Harris hawk. Same one. His name was Apollo, so I'm talking about Apollo. Apollo has not been my best bird, but he was one of my best birds until I got Tony Hawk.
It's rare for your first bird to be the best.
When I say that bird, and I'll always be subjective with this, right? He's my bird. That bird would take on jackrabbits by himself continuously. Awesome. He probably caught 15 plus jackrabbits on his own his first season, just his first season.
And the jackrabbits out here in Arizona are big. Huge. I thought the jackrabbits we had in Utah were large. And I'm talking black-tailed jackrabbits. I thought they were big because I came hunting with a Harris hawk in Arizona a little over about a year before actually I came over here and started working with you. And I caught a jackrabbit out there with that bird.
Ahsoka.
It was Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And now she's working for the company. And that jackrabbit felt like I felt like it was twice as big as the jackrabbit.
They're like 8 pounds. I'm not kidding you. They're like 8 to 10 pounds.
Yeah, it felt like they were almost twice as big as the black-tailed jackrabbits I was finding in Utah. They were just huge. The black-tailed jackrabbits here, compared to the size of the white-tailed jackrabbits in northern Utah or going up into northern Nevada area, you can find, or Wyoming, you can find these white-tailed jackrabbits, and they're about the same size as the black-tailed jackrabbits here in Arizona.
They're
big.
And this is kind of a side note. Yeah. We're super fortunate in Arizona. So if you're a falconer starting in Arizona,
there's a lot.
We have so much fucking game. It's not even funny.
And you've lost a lot. Dude, you've lost a lot, and there's still a lot of game.
Jason, we were able to bring him from Utah because we started working here. We brought you in.
Yeah.
Great times.
And then I started hawking with Ahsoka right away.
Dude, you were not even that, man. You were just you would be texting me and you're like, "Hey, I'm out hawking. I just caught 5 rabbits." I'm like, "What the fuck? What?" And you'd send me a picture. You'd lay out the picture, and I'm like, "Okay." Next day, "Hey, dude, I just landed my 7th kill of the day," and I'm like, "What is this guy doing? What?" You had a whole
I didn't know what to do with it. Well, because she would catch rabbit in the first 5 minutes, and I'm like, all right, let's go. She gets another one, and then I'm not done yet.
Well, you were having the same issue with your goshawk this year. Yeah, where you were the goshawk was catching stuff within 20 minutes.
Yeah, and so I had to make it harder.
It was
I had to step further away from the bushes, let the dogs scare stuff out of bushes, and then
you almost have to hold on to the jesses, and you're like, not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Wait, all right, go.
And it's not that they're easy; they're just
trying to make it a little more fun.
Close. They break close, like they do out here, and there's a lot of them. So you have multiple chances of doing it.
But man, I had a really fun time out here my first season with Ahsoka. That was so fun. But then what's even funnier is you started talking about your Harris. My second red-tailed hawk, I caught her and I was expecting the same thing. It's going to take 50 slips. I don't know how long it's going to be. It took roughly 3 weeks to get that bird to come back to my glove or a lure or come back to the T-perch. I know she was consistently coming back to one of those. I can't exactly remember which one. But anyway, I brought my sister with me. I went to the same exact field my last hawk got his first catch. And she immediately starts chasing rabbits. She chases one. She tries to do a dive, misses. And then we get her back on the perch, we keep walking, chase another jackrabbit, hits it, catches it. I hadn't shown this bird a baggie. I haven't tried to give her a domestic rabbit. I didn't even show her rabbit. I think she had already been doing it in the wild where she was at. Because the spot where I trapped her, there is a field right next to it that I've actually gone to, and there's a decent amount of rabbits in there. I think she was hawking rabbits before I even got her because she knew exactly what to do.
I'm thinking now, and you said this was your second red tail?
Yeah, this was the second red tail on her first
I don't think I've ever given any of my birds baggy rabbits. It's all about putting them in front. Usually you catch a red tail. Sure. And that red tail is caught a red. It knows what a rabbit is.
I really don't think red tails or the Harris Hawks need the baggie. Like,
don't.
I gave my first one baggies, and looking back on it, I don't think he needed it. He just needed better slips. Like, that's all he really needed.
Okay, like, I'm thinking right now, my first time I ever caught a pigeon with a hawk. That took some training. Like, that took constant baggies, so the bird, like, knew and understood, like, and we're using Harris Hawks.
Yeah.
Had no idea what the freak a pigeon was. Like, they were like, they knew they could properly eat it, but they weren't going after it. Yeah. That was a monumental moment right there too. And that was probably 8 years into my falconry career. Like, that was still exciting for me.
What was the first? No, the first thing my Harris Hawk caught, Ahsoka, was a small, was like a fledgling pigeon. It was like barely leaving the nest. It didn't know how to fly very well. But that was the first thing she caught. And then she went on to do rabbits and ducks after that. Like, it just kind of steamed, like, once she finally caught a rabbit. But I didn't have to give her any rabbit baggies. I just kept trying to put rabbits in front of her, and it clicked.
I'm actually lying to the whole audience here, because my first thing I actually ever caught, because my grandpa and I would hunt together.
Yeah.
Like, we'd hunt together, then we'd hunt separately, then we'd hunt together and hunt separately. We were hunting together. The first thing he and I ever caught with our Harris Hawk, so my first Harris Hawk, his first Harris Hawk, was a Roadrunner.
Oh, dude, I've
that was
seen
the
a few
weirdest
people,
day.
I've heard of people catching like weird stuff like Roadrunners.
Like,
but, yeah.
Middle of an open field, we had a baggie set, and we kicked the bush. Just like, I happened to kick it because at the time I think I was 13 years old. I'm like picking my nose, like kicking rocks. I kicked this lone sagebrush, and a freaking Roadrunner jumps out. My bird grabs it first, and then his bird jumped on. And we were just like,
okay,
like what? Like,
they would be preyed on in the wild.
It was,
you can't intentionally catch them.
No, it was by accident for sure.
Yeah, but Roadrunners do get caught by hawks in the wild. It happens.
Most exciting.
They're a natural prey.
Like, that was definitely exciting. He and I were just like, we were like hugging each other, like dancing in the field. And we're like, and we actually didn't know at the time, within the first couple minutes, what they caught, because they caught it so fast, and they hovered over it. They mantled.
He and I just assumed it was a rabbit.
Just like, we're like, oh, they got something. Like, we
start seeing feathers fly as they're plucking.
Well, his bird, because he flew big female, took the head off that thing like right away, tossed it aside, and we're just like, oh shit, like that's a Roadrunner. And by the way, there's no meat on those things. So
I doubt it. Well, it's probably all in the legs.
It's all in the neck.
all the neck and legs.
It's just a long neck, man. That's all it is. So
yeah, why would a coyote ever want to eat one of those?
Dude, we got to tell your story about your coyote on the golf course.
Oh, the coyote.
You got to tell that real quick, dude.
Okay.
So for those
I actually told the story on Casey's
Oh, did you?
podcast.
Okay, you did.
I'll tell it here.
Just do it quick. It's okay.
So actually, I got two fun bobcat stories, but we were working at a resort, and I had access to a golf cart. So sometimes I'd take the hawk out and let it catch the pigeons along the edges of the golf course that kind of were right next to the resort. Mm-hmm. And I was driving along, and I saw this bobcat and coyote chasing each other. And it looked more like the coyote was playing with the bobcat, and the bobcat was just annoyed. And so, because it would like swat the coyote and then try to chase the coyote off. And
which, first off, the fact that you saw a bobcat.
I've seen
like coyotes are everywhere.
Quite a few.
They're a dime a dozen. I see them every day.
Yeah, coyotes are all
over.
But
a bobcat in the middle of Scottsdale. Cool.
Oh yeah. It's like in the middle of
Scottsdale Plaza.
This golf course is in the middle of like the busy city Scottsdale.
You can say the name of the golf course. It's fine. Like it's Weston Kierland Golf Course. Like it's not. Yeah. Weston Kierland. That's a great place to go. Yeah.
And so I saw this bobcat, and I stopped to just watch. And this bobcat kind of walks up and then just starts looking at me. And I have one of the hawks on my glove, and he just starts going, rah, like screaming at him. But that hawk had caught a collared dove and a starling that day. So I'm like, I'll give him the starling. So I throw the starling to the bobcat. Bobcat sniffs it, turns around, is like, I don't want that. So then I quickly get in my bag, pull out the collared dove, and I toss the collared dove. And then the bobcat turns around, starts walking back, and maybe 10, 15 feet from me, sniffs the collared dove, picks it up, looks at me, turns around, and just walks into the bush. And I was like, oh, that was so cool. And then the coyote comes up, And this coyote did not look good. It looked like it had mange.
It was like starving.
Yeah, it looked like it was starving.
And for everyone listening, he sent me this video, so he has this.
Yeah,
video.
I have a video of
I thought he was lying. I watched
it.
And
then the coyote comes up, sniffs the starling that the bobcat left, looks at where the bobcat ran off to, comes back, circles the starling, and then just takes a massive dump right on.
Literally took a dump and said that was like the biggest FU from nature. Like I don't want that nasty start. Like in the video, you watch it and you're like, oh, this thing's hungry. Like it's gonna eat that thing. Sniffs it, turns around, takes a dump on it, and then walks away.
Even a starving coyote doesn't want a starling.
He's like, that thing's nasty, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
our hawks eat it, but it's not their favorite food.
No, it's not.
So that was cool.
That's another first.
Then another time.
That's a good first.
Yeah, that was the first time I seen a bobcat out here. And then I had like 3 other times where my dogs found them and I saw them running off. And then there was one I literally treed with the dogs. They went into a bush and we were just going for rabbits. And then a bobcat, boom, goes right up into the tree. I thought it was my dog. Like, I'm like, why the heck did my dog climb up the tree?
Luna,
and then I'm like, why the frick did my dog do that? And how did he do that? That was impressive. And I walk up there and it's a bobcat in a tree. And I'm like, all right, get the dogs back. Let's let the bobcat
in the video you sent me too, it's like not even a tall tree. It's like 6 feet off the ground. Like,
it was kind of in a ditch.
Oh, okay.
The tree was in a ditch. And I'm at the top of the ditch. So I was almost eye level with this bobcat. It was really cool.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, bobcats are freaking
dude, I got another first.
They're really cool animals.
Second bird I ever had was another male Harris hawk I bought from Mike's Falconry. Great little bird. His name was Buck. Beautiful bird. I'm out in Queen Creek hunting. I scare a bobcat out. Didn't know what it was at first. My hawk grabs it. Okay? Didn't hold on. Grabbed the butt. The bobcat turned around. I then saw it was a bobcat. My bird saw it was a bobcat. Let go. And then we were like, Bird and I alone in the field. We're both like, even he was like, dude, did you see that? I was just like, had he caught that, I mean, he probably would have died, but had he caught it, it would have been like pretty epic.
There's actually a bobcat north of Scottsdale on the golf. I forget the name of the course.
Greyhawk.
I don't think it's Greyhawk.
Greyhawk, no?
No. It's a little further north than that, I believe. So there's a few golf courses out there, but there's one bobcat out there that golfers keep capturing videos of it catching rabbits. Like there's at least 4 videos of this exact same bobcat catching rabbits on the golf course.
It's right where I hunt deer. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like if you look at the videos, you're like, oh yeah, we know where that's at.
I've literally seen the bobcat. I've seen the bobcat you're talking about.
Yeah, I've reposted that video plenty of times. This bobcat is not afraid of people.
It doesn't care.
And
She just catches
rabbits
or
right
kittens,
in front of people. Oh, that's cool.
She did. She had 4 of them.
Oh, that's cool.
They're all on the course now. Yeah, they're pretty wild. Yeah. I saw her one day.
I want a bobcat.
I'm assuming it was her. Like I was driving to go deer hunt back in January, and you drive by this golf course. There's only one road out there, and this big bobcat runs across. And I'm like, I bet you that was her. Yeah, she was just like hanging out. That's so cool. It was really cool to see.
Yeah. I think my other most, or at least my most recent, significant first would be when my goshawk caught her first rabbit. And it wasn't really that spectacular either. No. It was just...
You've caught 100 rabbits before that, you know?
No, I didn't.
Not with her.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about in general.
Yeah. Probably more than that. But being in Arizona practically tripled the number of rabbits I had caught in total. Anyway, we just scared it out of a bush at my feet. Rabbit was running, and instead of just putting into a bush or a hole right away, the rabbit started turning and made this nice long kind of U curve, which was perfect for the goshawk to just kind of cut it off. Yeah, and just boom, 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 caught it and grabbed it.
Was that the catch by the wall?
Felt like, no, it wasn't by a wall, but like there was like so much work that I had time and energy and hope that I was putting into this single bird more than any other bird I had before. And that catch was probably the most satisfying catch I've ever had, even though it wasn't a spectacular chase, just because it was like, finally, all my work is going to pay off.
Funny side note,
so
the next day you called me out to go with you. You're like, the goshawk's finally catching rabbits. Yeah,
finally.
I go out. Your goshawk
didn't really do well.
Took a giant shit that day. Just like She didn't do anything.
Didn't do much.
You're like, I swear.
I swear she was chasing.
And there was rabbits everywhere.
There was rabbits everywhere. But then she caught one the day after that.
And
and then the day after that. So she just started going. There were very few days we came home without anything. It was
switch. Connects. It's like a confidence.
2 to 3 rabbits every hunt at least. And it's like I could catch more if like I just do the slit close to the bush, but she was catching so quick I could get 3 rabbits in 10 or 20 minutes.
And with goshawks, you need that exercise.
Yeah, so I was like, let's step back a little bit so I can at least make the hunt last 2 hours.
See, I'm lazy. Like, I'll catch one and I'm good. I'm like, Tony, I think Tony caught a little bit over 30 rabbits this year.
How long have you had Tony now? How old is he?
I've had him 7 years. He's 7 years old.
7 years? What was his first kill?
My wife's gonna hate this. I'm gonna say this. She's gonna watch.
Why
it.
did you catch
hold on.
Kitten or
no, I'll get there. I have this great little spot I really like because I grew up in this neighborhood. And I took him out, and he was chasing just like every Harris hawk does. I buy my hawks from Matthew Mitchell in New Mexico. Shout out to him. He breeds freaking amazing birds. And took the bird out. Beautiful cold morning. A little bit of fog. There's actually a little bit of fog, and you know where it's at. There's a big alfalfa field right next to it. That big canal. Took him out. Was up on this hilltop. He just takes off. I just see him take off hard. You know how they fly hard with their head kind of positioned and they're kind of going. Takes a dive.
When they're chasing after something.
Yep, hits a rabbit.
Nice.
Not 3 days later, I'm in class. I'm in high school. My girlfriend at the time, this is where Haley will hate this. My girlfriend at the time, she had her day off. Like she had a half day or whatever. Mm-hmm. She goes, "Hey, can I take your bird hunting?" And I'm sitting there in class. I'm like, "I'm sure, whatever. Like, you go for it." Takes the hawk out. Dude, his second time ever catching a rabbit was with her. Caught 3 rabbits. She caught 3 rabbits that day. She sent me a picture, and at the time, she didn't know his progress, so it was like she was like, "Oh, he did so good today."
Like,
and
this is
typical. She sent me
typical.
fucking 3 pictures, and I was sitting there. I think it was in history, 5th period, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "What are you doing right now?" So that was like an epic week.
Did she eventually get her falconry license?
No, she didn't. And
she should have. Come on.
Yeah,
that should have started a spark.
Hey, man. and let all the listeners know I'm very happily married. Great wife, great kiddos. But I'll get a hearing from that tonight. But no, it was an epic week for him. Like he did. I mean, and then from that point on, his first season, he caught 102. 102, some pigeons, and then like it was a great season. Like he caught a lot of birds, and then that kind of he's the bird that everyone knows. Tony Hawk and Luca. Everyone's like, "Oh, okay." Like,
they're in the videos.
And Soka is too.
Yeah, she's there once.
Tony Hawk took off the company, because I was just doing like everything crazy I could with him. I was doing.
Yeah, Ahsoka mostly just does duck abatement. She does pretty good.
Okay,
with the
talk
pigeons,
about that. Okay, because I remember the first duck I caught with a hawk.
Oh, the first.
Let's let the Utah boy.
I'll tell my first story. So in Utah, you can find a lot of ducks. So they're in canals. There's small wetland areas I can explore. There's lots of creeks and rivers that you can find ducks in. It's almost all mallard. Here in Arizona, it seems like there's a variety, but practically all the ducks are on golf courses and like preserves.
We have no water. It's Arizona.
There's like no small creeks or small bits of water to hawk ducks at.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was trying to get my bird to catch ducks for like almost a week, and she was chasing. This is a female Harris hawk chasing these ducks, and I had the perfect opportunity because it was just they had just drained the canal. I think it was like near the end or near the mid to early November, I think, for that year. And they had drained the canals. And when they drain the canals, it doesn't actually like get rid of all the water. There's still lots of water. It's just
a couple inches.
Yeah, it's just like a few inches of water, and most of the time you can just walk through it. I had to wear waders quite regularly, or else I'd just be covered in mud and water all day in like 30 below degrees. So I always wore waders, but there was this perfect puddle. The edges of it were like ice, and it was maybe a couple inches deep, and there was like 5 ducks in that one. And I was parked so that way the ducks can't see that you're pulling a hawk out of the car. Anyway, get out of the car, walk up, and scared the ducks. And it was really funny because one duck that wasn't in the water started to get up, and Ahsoka started chasing a different duck that was in front of that one. This one that was right behind her then tries to dive into the water and face plants in the 2-inch water, realizes it can't get under there, and is able to take off again. Ahsoka sees that, literally turns around and just smashes it sideways. So it took like that duck made a fatal mistake.
When you see the wheels turn on those hawks, like when they're starting to figure out duck, that's such a good story.
And ducks are really challenging for a Harris hawk. They're not easy.
Harris hawks do not have that like a goshawk has. Yeah. Like they're fast. Don't get me wrong. I've seen some fast Harris hawks.
Yeah.
But goshawks have this desire in them to shed blood. And like I don't know how to explain it other than like they kill everything as if it killed their family the night before.
I know.
So they're
on like a revenge trip they just create a fantasy in their head.
See my third
that their family was beat to death
by
rabbits
insane,
or something.
My third Harris hawk ever, female. I decided to go female. She was small. She was only like 890 grams, like small female.
Yeah, it was small.
Not big. Her name was BA. We called her Baracus or Badass is what we would call her because probably 2 months into flying her, she was catching rabbits. She caught a couple of jacks. Wasn't big on the jacks, but she would catch them. I go to that big canal. Mm-hmm. You know, I've showed you. Most falconers know where it's at in Arizona. And I let her go. I just let her. She looked like she was interested in something. There were some ducks below. She takes off away from the ducks. And I thought to myself, she's gone. Like, whatever, I'll go get her, whatever. She then curves back around, and this ditch I'm talking about, it's like 30 feet lower than the top of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like I mean, you've seen it. For viewers listening, it's a pretty big ditch.
Well, a lot of the canals and ditches here are all concrete.
They are.
It's like, they're hard to get out of. Like, we had a dog fall in it one time, and it was tough getting her
That's another
out.
story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was funny. And then, so anyways, the hawk takes off away from the ducks, then triples back around. She doubles back around, She's probably 100 feet in the air. I knew exactly what she was doing. I then ran at the ducks, started clapping, got these ducks up. She slammed the duck mid-flight as it was trying to go back in the water. She caught probably 20 more ducks that season, and I might be exaggerating that number, but it just seemed like every time we went out, it was duck. Like, she figured it out, and that was one of my favorite things to catch. And like from that season on, rabbits were cool, but if I could catch a feathered prey, I did. Like that was amazing for me.
Yeah, it's really cool. The ducks are such a different flight. Like, it's really, really different compared to the rabbits. It's hard for me to decide which is more fun because I like them both.
But I mean, you know me. I like a good pigeon.
I would say it depended on what is available. If I lived in Utah, I'd be going after ducks more than rabbits just because that's what's more available. But here, rabbits are plentiful, so it's like, I'll just go after rabbits.
Dude, these last 4 years running this company, I haven't really been able to get out much. But this year, I had an exceptionally fun time catching rabbits. Great time with Tony, doubling up on certain days. Great flights in the bushes, coming off those light poles off that neighborhood we go to. With a Harris hawk in Arizona, with the heat and just the environments we have, it's very predictable. Like, I can go out with my kids, I can go out with other people's kids and dogs, and I can still have an amazing time. Like, I know how that bird's going to react. Like, dude, I've lost all my Harris hawks at least 3 times, and like I always get them back. Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know what
well, I've even lost Luca a couple times, and I call you. I'm like, dude, Luca's gone.
Dude,
you're like, go find him, and I call you back 15 minutes later.
I found him. Dude, if I lose a hawk at nighttime catching pigeons, and they're up on a roof eating pigeon, I will give them 15 minutes to come down. I then go home and sleep.
I did that with Luca too.
I know, like I don't even.
Luca got stuck on the roof eating a pigeon. I'm like, I'm going to bed.
Like,
so I went home, slept. I just came
Yeah.
back the next morning at dawn.
Yeah.
He was still there. Like he was just eating.
They don't fly far, man. They just kind of sit there.
He had telemetry on. I knew if I could just search within at least a mile or two radius of that, if he had left, I would have picked up that telemetry pretty quick.
Yeah.
And would have been able to find him.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you're here in Arizona, they're native to the area, so you don't have to worry too much about them like
dying.
Freezing to death.
Yeah, freezing or even heat because they're so used to it.
Yeah, or overheating. And once somebody, some birder or backyard lady sees a bird with Jess's, they take a picture of it, and then you know the location of your bird.
Actually, that's how I found Tony.
That's how like so many people find birds. Like honestly, Facebook's been a great tool just for that, for helping people find their birds.
Yeah.
Heck, it happens. Birds fly away, and it's great when just some random person is kind enough to take a picture and
be like, hey,
help somebody find their missing red tail. That's great.
Well, man, we kind of got to wrap it up a little bit.
Yep, we've gone roughly 40 minutes in. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys do want to check out my channel, we are now called Tooth and Talon, is what I've changed our name to. You can find most of the stories I told. You can actually find videos of it right on my channel. Definitely follow and subscribe to Desert Kings Falconry on Instagram and YouTube. And if you guys are interested in any of the equipment that we use, shout out to Mike's Falconry. They've been awesome in sending us some pretty cool pieces of equipment. Like we recently got a cool swivel from them, and I actually really like that swivel.
Yeah, he's sending us some more stuff too. So
I recently purchased a perch from him. My travel boxes that I use for my birds are from him. So the only thing that's really not from him, I think, are my leashes, basically, because I like to braid my own leashes. So, well, leashes, anklets, but pretty much everything else I'm buying from him. Yeah. So, huge shout out to him for the cool stuff he sent us. And I think that's it. Do you want to include anything else, Blade?
Great talk, great discussion. Please like and subscribe. Follow our channel. Helps us out, and it helps get the word of falconry on. That's what we're trying to do here. Enjoy, guys. Happy hawking.